Hey everybody, welcome back to Crypto Event Announcements. My name is Eugene Romanenko. I'm your Crypto MC, and please welcome my today's VIP guest, my friend, Mr. Gordon Einstein. He's originally from LA, California, but right now he's broadcasting from Zurich, Switzerland. He travels a lot. He's the founding partner of Crypto Law Partners. He's the chief legal officer of Distributed Lab. And he also will be the distinguished speaker at the Blockchain Live Europe Conference on October 16 and 17 in Moscow, Russia, hosted by Sergey Kitrov and his brilliant Listen Help team. Gordon, it's a great pleasure and honor to meet you again on the interview.
Hey, I'm honored to be honored. I am from Los Angeles, but I always tell people that my current mailing address is on a plane.
Tell us, please, how many countries and cities did you visit last month?
I actually was at home for 2 months in a row, which is rare for me. But on this trip, it's been Kiev, Tbilisi, Mallorca, Malta, Zurich, Switzerland, which is where I am now. Then it's Moscow to see you and your good folk. Then it's Barcelona. Then it's probably Athens. It may be Dubai. And then it's Malta again. And then I go home, I think, but I'm being recruited to speak in New York. But if I do that, I'm afraid I'll get divorced, and I can't afford a divorce.
It seems that you are a big fan of CIS area, the former Soviet Union area. Is it true? Why, and why did you decide to visit Moscow this fall again?
So that's a great question. I mean, in my whole life, even before crypto, I've always had an affinity for the Russian language and other Slavic languages. You know, I'm aware of the distinctions between Belarusian and Ukrainian and Russian and all that other good stuff. But I've always had an affinity for that language set. I've always been drawn to it. And then by pure coincidence, I met Pavel Kravchenko, the founder of Distributed Lab, in 2014 in New York for something unrelated to crypto. We became friends. And through a random series of events, I ended up going to Odessa right in 2014, right in the middle of the war, which was kind of interesting. I was the only American there, I think. And then things developed so that I got into crypto. And my wife is American, but she's got Russian background. She's from Vladivostok. So a third of my friends are Ukrainian, a third of my friends are Russian, and the other third are just random from all around the world. So it just worked out coincidentally, but beneficially, that I have a lot of connections in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and that general area. But you know, crypto is a global phenomenon, what makes it very interesting. But I have to say, there's something about the Slavic mentality, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, or wherever, that lends itself towards the math and science and economics that's related to crypto. There's a natural fit between that kind of mentality and the crypto mentality in a way that I would say is not necessarily the case elsewhere, or at least it's seen differently elsewhere. Like there may be a Chinese mindset that goes towards crypto. There may be an Israeli mindset towards crypto, but there's definitely a Slavic mindset towards crypto. It's kind of neat.
Your core topic this fall is Libra phenomena. We're talking about Libra in Kiev, you're talking in Tbilisi, and as I understand today, you will be talking about Libra and all the things regarding Libra in Moscow, the Blockchain Live. Am I right?
Libra. So I always have to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Yes, I'm talking about Libra, but I'm not associated with Libra. I'm not an advocate for Libra. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I merely find it fascinating because what it tells us about money, central banking, the role of government, the role of sovereignty. I mean, we're kind of heading back towards a feudalistic era. It's almost like a Game of Thrones era. You know, there was a non-governmental bank that was like lending to all the characters in Game of Thrones. I mean, we're kind of heading back towards corporate fiat, you know, which is like a feudalistic world, but it's like this weird cyberpunk reality that we're heading to like right now. And to me, it's just a fascinating topic. Now, I have no idea whether Libra is going to launch or be successful, or whether Facebook should be the one to do it. I have my doubts about whether Facebook should be the one to do it, but there's no denying that the fact that it's even possible has radically accelerated history. You know, I always say, like, you know, 9/11 accelerated history. It pushed history forward by 10 years. You know, the beginning of Bitcoin coming, you know, history moves one day per day all the time. We're used to that kind of pace. But every once in a while, an event happens that accelerates history. for good or for bad. Like 9/11 accelerated history. I say that the advent of Bitcoin accelerated history. The proposition of Libra has accelerated history. Just the mere possibility of it has gotten central banks admitting that they need to go digital. They are addressing the issue under banks. So, I'm not some Zuckerberg fan, but this is just crazy. And especially talking about this in Moscow, especially talking about it in Russia, because Russia and the U.S., for better or for worse right now, are geopolitical competitors. I don't know if it should be that way. I have my own personal feelings about this, but it is that way at the moment. And part of what Putin is going for, part of what China is going for, is to undermine the dollar's hegemony. And maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. That's kind of like a normative, subjective judgment. But the mere fact that it's a topic of conversation, to me, is fascinating, because you would not have had that 20 years ago. 20 years ago, none of this would have happened. Even with Bitcoin, none of this would happen. But Libra opened up the door towards central bank digital currencies and private company digital currencies. It's a crazy world we're in.
Of course, you might have heard that the famous Andrews Antonopoulos, when he talks about Libra, he doesn't consider Libra as a cryptocurrency. And he argues that Libra will compete with retail banks, not with Bitcoin and so on. Do you agree with that, or will argue with that?
Yeah, I think you and I have probably seen the same video. So his point was that Libra is kind of ushering a new neo-feudalistic paradigm. Where instead of having dukes and lords and counts, you would have corporations. You'd have Google Coin and Libra Coin and Amazon Coin and all that stuff, and that may or may not be good. The way I have been rhetorically putting this forward is, you had fiat currency. Imagine a triangle, okay, and you have three positions, and in the beginning, only one of those positions was occupied. The fiat position was occupied by default by the U.S. dollar, and it was alone, and no one had any reference to it. You couldn't even see the triangle. Then Bitcoin showed up and put a flashlight on fiat, and fiat put a flashlight on Bitcoin, and they both were good for explaining each other. Then Libra showed up, and Libra is there sitting with a flashlight on Bitcoin and fiat. Bitcoin has a flashlight on Libra and fiat has a flashlight on Bitcoin and Libra. Like, they're all explaining something about the other ones by way of contrasting with them. And then, sure, Libra is a challenge to banks and banking, but let's not fool ourselves. So is Bitcoin. The mere idea that a user has possession of their currency through their own wallet and it's not in the regular banking system is a fundamental challenge to commercial banking, central banking, and the fractional reserve system. That's true whether it's with Bitcoin or with Libra. Okay, so it's not like Bitcoin can't get rid of banking. Okay, because the moment I have a wallet that's mine where I can keep all my funds and not deposit in a bank, commercial banking, its whole model changes. And the concept of a reserve that a bank needs to keep changes, because if I'm not keeping my currency in a bank, fractional reserve banking goes away because there's no reserve in that bank. So, of course it's different. It's meant to be different. But I'll throw this out there also. Let's not fool ourselves either. Like, I love Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I put my money where my mouth is also when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm not just yapping. Like, my resources are in Bitcoin. But there's no kidding ourselves. In 2019, Bitcoin has not become what we all thought it was going to be. It's not the global currency. It's not accepted in merchant transactions. It's not user-friendly. It's not all these things. Maybe it's a store of value. Maybe. Okay? Maybe it's acquiring a position like gold, but it hasn't fulfilled the 5 functions of money. Unit of account, all that other stuff. So maybe it will. Now, an interesting thought is that maybe the fact that it hasn't become those things has spared it from regulatory attack, right? Because if it had become those things, it would be like Libra and everyone would be attacking it. The fact that it's not like that, and the fact it's just like gold, maybe is sparing it from attack. So I'm gonna pause for a second, let you, I tend to ramble on and stuff because I love it. But I think, look, I understand Antonopoulos' point. I saw the video, I respect him a lot, but I think that little point is a little bit mistaken. It's not a mistake, it's mistaken, because Bitcoin has the same effect.
Well, I think that the next Blockchain Live, we should invite Saif Dinamos, the famous Lebanon, the Austrian economist, to talk about Libra and money and so on and so forth. Maybe it's near future, but I really am
I
convinced.
know him. I know his work well, and I double dare you to put me on the same stage as him, because I don't know if anyone can out Austrian economics me, but if anyone can, it's him.
That's great. I really appreciate it. I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion, but let's go back to Moscow. Apart from Libra phenomenon, by your opinion, as an experienced insider, you've been observing the industry in recent years, what are the main trends, in the blockchain industry, in the crypto industry worldwide, as you've been observing?
Well, I got to say that the fact that EOS only got a $24 million fine from the SEC is shocking. And it kind of is interesting because Blockstack, as you know, did that Regulation A+ offering. They went the regulator route. EOS, I think there's a good argument, and I've discussed this elsewhere. I think there's a good argument that whatever EOS started out as, it's no longer security because you don't have a clear issuer and you have this sort of decentralized network. But if you think about it, the fine imposed on EOS was 0.5% of the money raised. If that's a trend, if that's a precedent, maybe ICOs are back. Because if you only have to pay a 0.5% tariff, fee, tax, or fine on the money you raise, that's nothing. That is nothing. Okay, so why not do it? Why not do it? Now, you know, I think there's a perfectly valid argument for utility tokens. I disagree with my colleagues on this, but you know, I think it's a productive disagreement. You know, not everything in the world is a security. I mean, you know, this iPhone is not a security. You know, these glasses are not a security. You know, my watch is not a security. You know, not everything on the planet is security. And if I tokenize these non-securities, they don't magically become securities. So the argument that every token is a security is you know, ridiculous, even if they're exchangeable. I mean, things are exchangeable on eBay without being securities. But people got a little bit overzealous and a little bit overcautious and decided to call everything your security to be safe. Well, you know, right or wrong, when you look at the very low fine imposed on EOS, I think that's the SEC admitting that not everything is a security and it's not productive to treat everything like a security. I mean, they just came out and I mean, it was obvious before, but they just came out and flat out stated that Bitcoin is not a security. So if things are not securities, we're kind of having the possibility of going to a wiser version of 2016 to 2017. I mean, ICOs maybe should come back, you know, because the initial idea is that you had this Kickstarter crowdfunding model that would bypass VCs and allow people to back projects that they're interested in and get them up and running and bootstrap them. Well, you know, that is a beautiful, elegant, attractive, sexy idea that got squashed by A, people abusing it, and B, regulators reacting to it. You know, I want that world back. Maybe so. I think in 2020 we're going to see that back. You know, the flip side is we're also going to see tighter regulation when it comes to money laundering and know your customer and terrorist financing, all that other stuff. And probably we should, though the anarchist / libertarian in me kind of, you know, yearns for the day when I can just send money to my friends without going through the banking system. You know, from my point of view, the default should be privacy. The default should be self-sovereignty. The default should be, hey, government, it's none of your business. But, you know, I'm me and you're you, and we're responsible people. But I know there's bad actors out there, so I'm a little bit conflicted on that point.
Well, and finally, Gordon, whom will you recommend to visit perhaps the biggest European conference in the fall of 2019, Blockchain Live Europe conference in Moscow? What type of persons would mostly benefit from attending this event?
So I have to admit, this is my first time going to Moscow, and this is my first time going to your beautiful event. But I've heard amazing things, and by looking at the other speakers, especially you know, Herbert Sim, who invited me, and looking at the production value, I mean, I think it's like I mentioned, you know, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, you know, the CIS sphere, Georgia included. This is the heart of crypto and blockchain innovation. There's a mentality there that is just unmatched elsewhere in the world. And, you know, it's different culturally from the American perspective, but it's accessible to the American mind and it's, you know, there's enough language crossover that you can get to it. I would just advise all my colleagues, all my friends to check it out. I mean, you know, my like I mentioned, my wife's Russian, so I'm excited to go to Moscow. My son is coming with me also, which is kind of fun. It's just, I mean, you know, I don't want to be too sloppy about it, but really everyone who's into crypto and into blockchain and into making a difference in this world should come. I mean, you don't just have ICOs being pitched. You have real thought leaders, you have real intellectuals, you have real technical people speaking. And I can't wait to meet everyone and talk and share these ideas and push this revolution forward in 2020. And I think, you know, this is a fantastic event. And the mere fact that you and I are having this discussion before the event and scheduled it, and we're not like crashing into it without any kind of context, but like, you know, you're reaching out to people in advance, says a lot about the organization and your efforts and the thought that's going into this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you see how does Gordon love Russia, and if you want to meet him personally, this passionate gentleman, Gordon Einstein, please attend Blockchain Live 2019 Europe Conference in Moscow on October 16 and 17, and use your promo code Romanenko for 10% discount. It's written below, and by the way, we can also meet with you at other events. Please attend cryptmc.com and find their list and promo codes. Please subscribe our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and stay tuned for next speakers interviews. Gordon Einstein, the founding partner of Crypto Law Partners and Chief Legal Officer of Distributed Lab from Zurich, Switzerland, and originally from Los Angeles, and the world citizen will be in Moscow. Let's meet in the Moscow Blockchain Live Europe Conference. He and Eugene Romanenko with you. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, stay crypto, and let's meet with you at the Blockchain Live October 16 and 17 in cold, full Moscow with passionate Gordon Einstein and 6,000 attendees and the biggest European full crypto event. Stay tuned.
It's so exciting.
Yes. See ya.
Cool. Take it.